My sister raged that I excluded her kids, my parents pressured me, and I uninvited her. Then discovered she planned to hijack my wedding. Hello, I'm 27 and I'm getting married in a year. I sent out the save the dates last week, and since then I've received a lot of backlash from my sister and dad. I'll get to the major problem, but first I need to tell you about what happened in the past. My 32-year-old sister Valerie and I are currently having some issues. She can be quite entitled and harsh, which is a problem I am still dealing with. So I've always wanted to be close to my sister, but she never acknowledged my sentiments. She mainly treated me as an unwelcome pest and avoided me. I was young and stupid, and I believed that I could make my sister love me. She was like my idol, and I hoped to have a nice relationship with her. Growing up, my sister was constantly doing things to draw attention to herself. She was like that, and I accepted her just as she was. I may have been a little naive to believe that we might have a close friendship. I believe I finally woke up when she told me I wasn't invited to her wedding. Valerie told me that her wedding would be child-free, thus I was not allowed to attend. Here's the problem though. Her wedding was only a week away from my 18th birthday. I cried and begged my sister to make an exception because the situation was ludicrous. She tagged me as a child. Her venue wasn't child-friendly. She wasn't even planning to serve booze. She didn't have a solid cause to exclude me. I suppose she genuinely didn't want me at the wedding. Anyway, I couldn't persuade her to change her decision, and she rejected me despite my pleas. My parents refused to intervene. Starting that day, I began to remove myself from my sister. Valerie either didn't notice or didn't mind. I'm leaning towards the latter. I have a strange relationship with her and don't know her spouse very well. We only meet during family events and do not have any one-on-one conversation. I love her 2 children, but I'm not connected to them either. Valerie never makes an attempt to spend time with me alone or invites me to her house. I tried when her children were born, but she ignored or dismissed my efforts to get closer. I eventually abandoned trying and focused on family members who genuinely wanted me in their lives. All of this history will help you comprehend my situation better. So I got engaged and planned a date with my fiancé. We agreed early on that we did not want children at our wedding. We created save the dates and emailed them to relatives and friends so they could be prepared. We also mentioned that the wedding was meant to be fully child-free. Valerie also received an invitation. I was about to move on and concentrate on making plans when something happened that prompted me to write this post. My sister contacted me a few days ago and told me that I must be fooling her. I didn't understand what all the uproar was about, so I politely asked her to explain what was wrong. Then, via her rants, I realized she was upset with the fact that I was having a childless wedding. Can you imagine it, guys? The woman who had a childless wedding was upset that I was having one. I couldn't believe what she said. I kept asking her whether she was serious, or if I had misunderstood anything. But my sister vehemently verified that I was correct in my assumption. She was upset that I was excluding children from the wedding. I informed her that it was my wedding, and I had complete control over how it would be carried out. And I made it obvious to her that I did not want kids at the wedding. My sister shouted at me, calling me an immature and entitled bridezilla because I planned to exclude my innocent nieces and nephews from the wedding. I calmly informed her that the majority of the children are under the age of 5, so they would unlikely miss the wedding. Plus, I didn't want kids running around and accidentally getting into things. Not to add that there will be an open bar with plenty of drinks. Everyone in the family has infants and toddlers, and we all know that little children cannot be disciplined or punished into good behavior. Kids would act like kids, and instead of dealing with the potential disaster, I was simply nipping the problem in the bud. Apparently, that was the wrong thing to say, since my sister went off on me for calling her child difficult and unmanageable. I informed them I had never said anything like that. Valerie responded by saying that they should be invited to the wedding because they will not cause any difficulties like the other youngsters. I informed her that I would not make such an exception since everyone would want to bring their children and accuse me of favoritism. I must admit that I have some very close cousins and friends who would be outraged and saddened if I let dumb Valerie bring her children while they were unable to. I explained everything to my sister, but she wasn't having it. The woman screamed and yelled at me non-stop. After a while, I became really irritated with her and told her that she had no right to yell at me since she herself had a childless wedding. I told her that she hadn't even let me, her own sister, attend her wedding. I was eliminating minors when she had excluded her own sister, who was only a week away from becoming 18. My sister didn't like that. She started ranting at me again, telling me that I was being petty, vengeful, and immature by holding on to ridiculous grudges. She referred to me as a crazy woman and claimed that I was doing this on purpose to spite her for something she did years ago. I was about to inform her that this wasn't even about her when she abruptly hung up. I did not bother contacting out again, so there has been complete silence on my end. My sister on the other hand is calling me names and blowing up the phone. She has also enlisted my folks, who have blown up my phone. My parents are advising me that this child-free wedding is probably not a good idea and that I shouldn't be callous by excluding my own nephews. They also keep telling me that I shouldn't damage my connection with my sister over this one item, and that it's only a minor request on her part. I do not see how this is a request, let alone a tiny one. I'm also pretty upset with my folks right now. I spoke with my fiancé, and he agreed that he does not want to make exceptions either. If anything, he is irritated by my sister's and parents' attempts to persuade me otherwise. They know what my sister did at her wedding, so he's upset that they're condemning me for the same thing. He does not want children at the wedding, and his family is perfectly cool with that. So my boyfriend is entirely on board, and he doesn't even want my ugly sister to attend the wedding. But my dad and sister are arguing the opposite. They're also trying to blackmail me, which isn't humorous. I adore my nephews, even though we are not particularly close, and it makes me feel a little guilty. With the wedding preparations and my busy job, I feel like I'll go insane. Could you please tell me what I need to do now? I literally can't take their garbage anymore. I'm already thinking about eloping, and would have if it weren't for my fiancé's family. They did nothing wrong, and I don't want them to miss their son's special day. But this foolishness from my family is making me reconsider every decision I've made in life. Edit. Due to the high volume of comments, I am unable to respond to everyone. So I'm going to address a couple issues in this revision. I'll add more information in a lengthier post, and this one is only for the questions that keep coming up. I anticipated that some people would judge me for having a childless wedding. I do not see anything incorrect with my request. If I had adolescent cousins, I would have included them. However, all of the family's minors are no older than 6 or 7. Please don't pretend that youngsters can't damage things. There is also the issue that weddings are long and dull for children. None of them would like that. Sending them home after the ceremony would be impolite and make them feel bad. That is why I do not want to include them in any aspect of the wedding. You also wanted to know what my sister said when I questioned her about her hypocrisy. Well, she had some faulty logic to back up her claims. She explained that no one had children at the time, therefore it made sense for her to have a childless wedding, but now that most of my cousins have children, I should include them in the party. I now understand I would have been the sole underage attendee at Valerie's wedding. None of her acquaintances had married that early, and none of our cousins had children at the time. I was the family's youngest member, but Mom made no exception for me. I'm beginning to wonder why my parents let her do everything she wanted, and I'm having second thoughts about my decision. I had urged them to persuade Valerie to invite me, but my parents had informed me that it was her special day, thus they had no say in the matter. There have also been inquiries regarding what my other relatives and acquaintances think about my childless wedding. Well, they said absolutely nothing. They have all already RSVP'd. Everyone lives nearby and would rely on their family or babysitters to care for their children. I mean, I'm giving them a year's notice, so they'll have plenty of time to make plans. I believe some of them are secretly pleased to have some time away from the children without feeling terrible about it. Instead of being a parent all day, I'm giving them the opportunity to relax and have some fun. Update 1. Wow. It feels strange to have so many comments on my post. Although I received a lot of varied feedback, the majority of the negative comments came from folks who despise child-free weddings. I don't understand why some of you believe your child belongs everywhere. Do you travel to adult-only areas and then insist on bringing your children with you? I just don't get the logic. Entitled people like you are the reason couples choose child-free weddings in the first place. Unfortunately, children make mistakes. Period. Getting angry at them would be inappropriate because they are youngsters. So the simple approach is to refuse to let them in. Also, listen, that kid will barely remember the wedding and will most likely be bored out of their mind during the ceremony. Do you know what bored youngsters do at wedding ceremonies? Stop acting as if children deserve to be anywhere. You two are no better than my sister. Oh, and some of you tried reverse psychology or something and told me that I shouldn't be moaning about my sister's refusal to invite me to her wedding using the same rationale. I was almost 18 years old and was well familiar with wedding protocol. I have been attending weddings since I was 13. I never acted out or caused difficulties because I was mature enough to have complete control over myself. If there were any teenagers in the household, I would have let them come back. I omitted any children under the age of 6 or 7. I just wanted to share my thoughts because I'm not going to discuss these unpleasant comments again. Everyone else who offered useful advice has been extremely helpful. You guys asked some interesting questions regarding my sister creating drama to be the center of attention. You may not be so far off the mark. My sister dislikes being a sister. She never wanted a sibling and dislikes sharing attention. I guess my parents felt awful about having another child when she wasn't on board. That's why they try to take her side and advise me to compromise. At least that's what I believe. My sister has previously had enormous tantrums on my big days, and I believe she purposefully chose a date close to my 18th birthday so that everyone would focus on her rather than me. In my family, 18th birthdays are celebrated extravagantly. I didn't get to have one because everyone was exhausted from the wedding and my parents were low on cash. I was upset and disappointed at the moment, so I didn't care. My sister received full attention during and leading up to her wedding. She announced her first pregnancy on my 21st birthday, and her second shortly after I started my first real work. So there's certainly a trend there. It hadn't occurred to me, but some of your remarks made me ponder. Maybe my sister is trying to cause difficulty so that at least some of my attention is focused on her. I am tired of her right now, but I don't know what to do. Some of you suggested that I consider not inviting her. Unfortunately, that isn't an option. My parents value the concept of family, hence they will not accept this. It's amusing that even my fiancé Jacob, a 28-year-old male, has been talking about how my sister shouldn't come since she has a major issue with our wedding. But I know that can't happen. Right now my parents are pushing for a family gathering to resolve this issue so that we may move on with our lives. I'm not sure whether it will fix anything, but I might attend regardless. They want me and my sister to accompany them so that we may discuss things as a family and under one roof. They are certain that if we do this, we will reach an acceptable compromise. I seriously doubt it, and I'm not sure what kind of compromise they're looking for on my end. I suppose I'll find out when I do. I am planning to maintain a solid stance and not bend under pressure. I'm not a doormat, so I'm not concerned. I will provide an update to let you know how that conversation went. Update 2. I just got back from a family meeting and still don't know what to do. My parents were sure that we would reach an agreement, but none of that occurred. As expected, neither my sister nor I were willing to compromise. She just kept berating and yelling at me because I dared to omit her beloved children from the wedding. I tried to explain my position to her again, but she wouldn't have it. My parents felt awful for me since I was behaving civilly while my sister was screaming like a banshee. But my sister doesn't listen to them anyway. I informed Valerie unequivocally that no amount of shouting or guilt-tripping would sway me. She then suggested that I find and pay for babysitters because I was determined to be a spoilsport. I vehemently refused it since I do not believe that is my obligation. Except for Valerie, no one else sought recompense or assistance. My sister can comfortably afford childcare. I know she rented them on occasion for date nights, but she refused to pay for one because not having her children at my wedding was not her choice. I told her that I would not pay for her babysitters simply because she asked me to. Our budgets were already limited, and Jacob was unlikely to approve this. Valerie then began yelling about how she would have to hurry to find a babysitter on such short notice, and the least I could do was pay for it. I laughed and told her that she had a full year to make plans. My parents then offered to pay for the babysitters, but Valerie declined. Yes, she was being petty. She wanted me to pay for not taking her sentiments into account when planning my wedding. My parents also suggested that Valerie's husband stay home with the children while she attends the wedding. My sister was not pleased with the suggestion. After what felt like an eternity, I was completely finished with the chat. I was already psychologically fatigued from my sister's tantrums. I informed her that I am not modifying my wedding for her, and if she has such an issue with it, she is not need to come. My sister screamed at me, and my parents supported her. They told me not to say those things, and that I should have my sister at the wedding. I departed shortly after because the talk was not progressing. I knew the meeting was pointless, and did me no benefit. I'm back home now and just told Jacob what occurred. He had been even angrier than before. My parents and sister are still bombarding my phone with garbage, but I haven't checked it yet. Now I am seriously considering eloping and not inviting my family at all. If the wider family questions why no one was invited, I will tell them to contact my parents. I'm at my wit's end, and eloping is certainly the greatest alternative right now. Update 3. Before I begin this update, please know that you have no idea how much your kind remarks have helped me. I was sick of everything and thought my wedding was already ruined. I haven't even really planned the wedding yet difficulties are starting to arise. I was completely unmotivated and couldn't feel the enthusiasm anymore. All of these wedding preparations were overshadowed by my sister's nonsense. I was about to tell Jacob to warn his family about my intentions to elope with him. But your words have truly opened my eyes. You are correct in informing me that I should not penalize my friends and extended family because they have done nothing. You also mentioned that my sister was already making this whole issue about herself and had most likely succeeded in drawing the majority of the focus to her. It was like a light bulb went out in my head. My sister was already spoiling my wedding, and I was allowing it to happen. I should have stopped this crap lot sooner. I'm not sure why I was so focused on her presence when we no longer had a nice relationship. Valerie has already proven that she will not change. I'm just wasting my breath and giving her undue attention. I considered all of these options. Then I decided to sit down with my parents. I also brought Jacob along for support. We had the meeting without my sister because I wanted to speak with my parents discreetly. You've severely criticized my parents for their involvement in this issue. I'm upset with them, but at the end of the day, they're still my parents, and they're a lot better than my nasty sister. So I wanted to talk to them and try to make them see my point of view. We spoke for a long time, and I completely unloaded my emotions on them. It was not a calm and cool talk at all. I was crying, and so were my parents. It was quite emotional. This time I did not hold back. I reminded my parents of all the times Valerie wrecked my great occasions and did anything to divert attention away from me. I reminded them that they had failed to persuade Valerie to include me in the wedding, so she had no right to demand me to include her children. I completely unloaded on them, telling them that they were making me want to cancel everything and elope. I believe my parents were deeply touched by the idea that I wanted to elope simply because I was tired of arranging my own wedding. Jacob also spoke up, saying that he favored eloping since all of the controversy is making me want to avoid a large wedding. My mother cried, and my father began to urgently tell me that I should not do this. They were quite remorseful, and admitted their role in my sister's intentional targeting of me throughout the years. I was correct in predicting that they tended to agree with Valerie, since she has frequently blamed them for giving her a sibling and forcing her to share everything with me. My sister is insanely jealous and greedy. I'm simply done with her. I had a long conversation with my parents, and Jacob also shared his ideas, which were quite helpful. He provided an outside perspective that helped my parents realize they were being incredibly unjust to me. They urged us not to elope so they wouldn't miss my wedding. Interestingly, they also stated that they wanted to really enjoy my wedding because they had spent the majority of my previous milestones soothing Valerie down or praising her achievements. I've previously told you that Valerie always found a way to destroy my memorable occasions. My parents appeared to be fed up with her actions. Thank God they finally understood and pledged to do better. I don't really care about my sister anymore. I'll write a no-contact letter soon and uninvite her to my wedding. Jacob and I have already made a decision, and my parents are now on board. Valerie may be my sister, but I will not become a complete doormat for her. I am serious when I say I am finished. Update 4. Hello folks. So I just had to drop back in for one last update. Many of you have DM'd me, asking to know what occurred because you expected drama. Yes, there was some drama from my sister after I communicated my plans to her, but things are currently rather tranquil for me. I anticipated her to cause drama, but this time she suffered more than I did. You may want to know how my sister ended up suffering, which is why I returned to provide an update. Spoiler alert, my sister is currently having marital problems. So, as promised, I composed and sent a text and email to my sister informing her that she has been officially uninvited, and that I will not be in communication with her indefinitely. I told her everything she had done to me and reminded her of how mean she had been. I informed her that I didn't want her drama anymore and that I was tired of being a complete doormat. I emailed the email to my sister, and she blew up again. I was astonished that she was outraged when I uninvited her and made no touch with her. I assumed she would have been pleased because she never wanted me in her life in the first place. However, she was offended and went to my parents to complain since I was not responding to her texts. My parents supported me instead of her, which came as a nasty surprise. So she went and told the rest of the family that I had excluded her for no reason and that I was a jealous and hateful bridezilla. People were texting me at first to help her out and make things easier for her. However, one of my cousins, Giselle, 35, delivered a bombshell in the group chat. According to Giselle, my sister was upset with me for not inviting her to my wedding because she had planned something to divert the attention away from me. Giselle informed us that Valerie was actively attempting to persuade her husband to have a third child and had intended to either show up pregnant or announce her pregnancy at the wedding. So it appears that my sister is far more troubled than I previously imagined. She had foolishly revealed her plans to Giselle after I got engaged. Valerie had even confidently announced to her that she would humble me at my own wedding and dominate the spotlight as usual. I won't go into detail about what else she said, but that just goes to show how concerned Valerie is with our competition. There is no competition on my end, but she has always considered me a rival. She was enraged when she realized she might never get another chance to outshine me since I was avoiding contact with her. You can only imagine how horrible things got for her once Giselle spilled the beans. Long story short, Everyone thinks she's insane, and my own parents have been furious with her. Surprisingly, Valerie did not deny anything and attempted to excuse her conduct. I believe it exacerbated the situation because Valerie's husband disliked the way she behaved. According to my parents, Papa was not amused that Valerie wanted a third child to overshadow my wedding. Apparently, she has also shown some competitive behavior with his sister and cousin, so his family is already displeased with her. This was the final straw for him, and he warned her that she needed to seek therapy or they would divorce. Valerie went to our parents, crying and accusing me of breaking her marriage out of jealousy. Yeah, it appears that this is partly my fault. Oh, she tried to call and yell at me from a different phone number, but I hung up as soon as I recognized her voice. Fortunately, she halted her shenanigans after a few days since her husband became quite angry. Currently, they are attending couples counseling while her husband sleeps in another room. I'm very sure the dad is staying because of the kids. He's been frustrated for a while because Valerie's antics have wrecked his relationship with his family members as well. I'm hoping that this time Valerie will take it seriously and actually work on herself. As for me, it appears like I will finally have a tranquil and drama-free wedding,